We've just had the 6th drop on Need for Speed Unbound, and this week's Under the Hood is all about driving, takeovers, and events within Lakeshore City. Jumping straight into it, the first bit of information we have is about drifting and the takeover events. So like the most recent Need for Speed games, we have two different versions of drifting, which are either the gas or the brake tap. Brake tap being the default way to drift, whereas the gas one is simply just tapping the accelerator and your car will initiate a drift. But now with Need for Speed Unbound, there's actually options to turn these off. A lot of people have been complaining about that style of drifting, which is completely understandable. I personally don't really mind it, as Need for Speed is an arcade game, so as long as it plays well, I don't really care. But I will definitely be trying out all of the options in terms of drifting when it comes to this game. There's also a tiny bit of info going into more detail later on about the burst nitros. So it looks to be initiated by drifting, and once you've done so, it will give you a nice little boost once you come out of a turn. It's also said here that you can get a extra head start at the beginning of a race. So again, like some previous games, you want to keep an eye on your RPMs during the countdown, and once it's hit a specific number, you want to start accelerating, and then your car will get a nice boost to put you in front of everyone else. Going back to the burst nitro and how it works, if you draft behind another player, you'll then build up the boost nitro, and as well as being able to use it after a drift going around a corner, you can also use it to overtake with some kind of slingshot. And lastly, in terms of the handling for your car, as expected once again, if your car is built for drifting or street racing, if you go off-road, the car will suffer as the tyres won't be made for off-road. The same applies to if you have off-road parts on road, your car will perform a lot worse as it will have different parts that are built for off-road racing. Next up is takeovers, which is pretty much speed cross, but in Unbound it's called takeovers. By the looks of it here on the website, every takeover you go into will have ASAP Rocky involved, as it's his part of the story, but it looks like he'll be announcing every single takeover event once you go into them. Straight away we can see that it says you get a nice payout from the events, or potentially even a brand new car if you win, which is huge. We've already seen in the weekly events within the main career mode, if you complete the final event on the week, you unlock a brand new car. So it's going to be the same with the takeover events. These events are all about scores, so you want to make sure you're evening out everything once you do a takeover event. All of the points you earn through drifting, through crashing into barrels, through driving at high speeds and so on, will up your multiplier whilst you're going through the event and push your score even higher to make sure you get first place. So once some of these takeover events are done, you'll more than likely get into a cop chase, so you'll have that to deal with straight away. Next up, we've got all of the activities, challenges and collectibles within Need for Speed Unbound, and there are some really cool ones straight away, so let's dive into all of them into full detail. The first one is a car delivery job, which is a first within the Need for Speed franchise. So every now and again, whilst you're playing the game, you'll get a call to pick up a vehicle that's been misplaced. I'm sure we already know what that means. It also says that multiple characters can call you for these types of missions with various different objectives. So one of them, you may have to get a car from point A to point B in a certain amount of time, or the other one might be about keeping the car in the best possible condition. Going into more details on those, these speed ones will likely be for a low heat level, and it's all about getting the car there as quick as possible on a point-to-point route. The faster you go will also increase how much you're paid. And the same goes for the high heat deliveries, but they're a lot harder as expected. For these, you don't have to worry about the time too much, but you do have to focus on how much damage your car has. If your car is in the best possible condition, that is where you'll get most of your payout, whereas if your car is completely obliterated, you won't get much of a payout for delivering that vehicle. However, one thing that is handy is all the gas stations that are around Lakeshore City, you can actually go through them to repair your car before you deliver it. Next up is a passenger delivery job, which is basically Need for Speed's version of Crazy Taxi. Every now and again, you may get a call from someone who is stuck and will need a lift. Once you've received one of these calls, you need to go to the location of that driver, and once you pick them up, you're then on a time limit to get them from wherever they are to a certain place in a specific time frame. To make it even harder, the second you pick up one of these racers, you'll then have the cops chasing you, so you'll need to lose the cops before you drop off that racer at their location to get the biggest payout. And if you get caught by the police, not only you but the racer will also get busted, meaning no one gets cash at all. Not only do you get awarded some cash for completing these tasks, but you also get a brand new safe house that you can use within the world. So those are two of the brand new challenges that you can do within Need for Speed Unbound. But as well as those, we also have 4 returning ones that I'm sure a lot of you will enjoy. Now they're all very self-explanatory, so I'll go through them quite quickly, but the first one is drift zones. Speed traps will also return. Again, the faster your car, the higher the chance at getting 3 stars. Speed runs, which are basically speed zones in the Forza Horizon games, and you'll have a set route that you'll have to drive through as quick as possible to earn the highest stars. And then lastly, we have jumps, which as we've seen before, is basically stunt jumps, and once you go up them at a certain speed, depending on how quick you're going, you'll travel a lot further in order to get the 3-star award. Challenges will once again feature in Need for Speed Unbound. There's loads of different ways that you can unlock these. There are specific ones tied to the story, so as you progress further on within the campaign, you'll unlock some brand new driving effects and even some extra cash. Next up, there are skill challenges which are awarded on winning races of different levels, as well as escaping the cops. Activities such as the jumps, the speed traps, and so on will also have different challenges tied to them. And then lastly, there are also collectible challenges, which I'll go into more detail very soon. Once you complete all of these different challenges within Need for Speed Unbound, you'll be awarded either cash, different victory poses, driving effects, which will be tags and the samples, and the potential to even get a brand new car. And lastly, onto the collectibles. Of course, they're going to make a return with a Need for Speed Unbound. We've even seen these teased already. Located around the entire world of Need for Speed Unbound, you can find loads of different billboards, spare collectibles, which we've seen in one of the teasers, and street art, usually on the side of a building. If you collect all of these, you'll be awarded different customization parts, driving effects, poses, and more, which again is likely linking to a special car. And there we go, that is everything for this week's Under the Hood on Need for Speed Unbound. It's also shown at the bottom of the article that next week's will be a deep dive into multiplayer. That's going to be a huge thing, as I know a lot of people are still asking about that, and also have some concerns in regards to the player limits and so on. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you again soon in another video. Peace.